वागीशाद्याः सुमनसः सर्पार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्याः स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददापि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् योगिनं विश्वनाथाख्यम् अस्मत्तातस्वरूपिणम् आत्मलाभात् परं लाभं वक्तारं न कदाचन गीतार्थग्रन्थकर्तारं श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मे वाचं धृतिं बुद्धिं प्रचोदयात् ॐ नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमः ॐ Friends, we are going to be doing the Gita regimen for Advaitic living, session number 7. Shlokas, chapter 2, shloka 47 to 51. We have already run 2 rounds of the same shlokas. This is the 3rd round. Already in the 2 rounds, we have seen the meanings of these 5 shlokas, but it is better to recall at least the meaning of the first one, namely 247. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaketubhuh ma te sangosva karmani. Karmanyeva adhikaraha te. Your right is only for action. Karmani eva adhikaraha te. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Kadachana means ever. Ma kadachana, never. Never in terms of the fruits. Phaleshu. Ma karma phalaheturbuh. Ma buh. Don't become. Phalahetuhu. Don't become fruits of the action. Which means don't desire, don't seek for the fruits of the action. And the 4th one, Ma te sangaha astu akarmani. Ma te sangaha akarmani astu. Akarmani, inaction, non-action. Don't be attached to inaction, which means don't desist from action. Because there have been so many rules and regimen for how to do the thing, don't desist from action. So thus there are 4 commands almost. You remember, right in the beginning, almost on the first day, I have given you the gist of the 5 teachings of the Gita. In fact, there are only 5 teachings of the Gita for all posterity, of which these 5 teachings, I call them regimen 1, regimen 2, regimen 3, regimen 4, regimen 5, or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. R1 is the injunction about having sense control. This sense control, this thing is a prerequisite for everything. This prerequisite is not something which has to be finished in some time and then the Gita study begins. No, it is a prerequisite throughout until one reaches salvation. It can never be stopped because you have to have sense control all the time. You cannot say, I have got my sense control, now I can do anything from tomorrow. That's not so. So, the Indriya Nigraham, that is number 1, that is R1. R2, R3, R4, R2 is the Karma Yoga which we are talking about. R3 is the Bhakti Yoga which we will talk when we come to the 7th, 8th, 9th chapters. And R4 is the surrender which we will come to almost as the last thing. These are the 3 things. And the last one, R5, is the equanimity or Brahma Bhava. Now that is the goal. Equanimity or the Brahma Bhava. Brahma Bhava means everything is Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi. We are going to refer to that sloka today. So that is the goal. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Bhava, being in Brahman, of Brahman, being Brahman. Or 2 or 3 or 4, the Karma Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga and the surrender, these 3 are the methodology to reach that goal. So, the number 1, Indriya Nigraha, is a kind of a permanent prerequisite, or 2 or 3 or 4, the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and surrender are the methodology to reach the goal, and the goal is Brahma Bhava. Brahma Bhava is equanimity. Actually, equanimity is an ordinary word which even in the political circles they use. All human beings are equal, and all our constitutions, the Indian constitution, French, all democratic institutions have in their constitution that all men are equal. Here, in the equanimity that Vedanta talks about, not only men, everything is equal. They are all the same. This is what we are going to see. It is a fundamental concept which runs throughout the Gita. So, you see here, in the second sloka, he says how to do the regimen R1 to R4 in order to reach the goal. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyos samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Yogastha kuru karmani, do your actions being in yoga, anchored in yoga. Yogastha, sa means satisht, to stand, standing in yoga. That is the meaning of that. Sangam tyaktva, renouncing the attachment. Siddhya siddhyos samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. What is that samatvam? That is samo bhutva, he said. Success and failure, you should be equanimous. This equanimity, samatvam, is called yoga. Here he is telling you only mildly that it is this equanimity that is yoga, but actually this equanimity has a larger significance, very profound significance. Throughout the Gita it comes. That is what we are going to see today. We are going to spend all the time today on samatvam. I have picked up 24 Gita shlokas that dwell directly on the concept of equanimity. 24 Gita shlokas, most of them, all of them in fact, come hereafter in the later chapters. I think you will need the Gita book very heavily today. So now, these 24 shlokas, we are going to see 8 shlokas which tell you, which define samatvam, so to say, which define. There are 8 shlokas. So go to chapter 5, shloka number 18. I will give you time to go to that because you may want to mark it, you may want to have a look at it, and you may probably want to have the meaning also. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva shvapakeche pandita samadarshina. Krishna, you know, as I told you, he is a very good teacher. He introduces a subject at a certain time, but immediately does not give you everything about it. He comes back to it again and again after some time later. Then after some time, it's like a spiraling thing. And each time when he comes to it, he is more profound and he deals more heavily on that topic. So here, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihasthini Shunichaiva Shvapakeche Pandita Samadarshinaha. Pandita Samadarshinaha, wise men who see things equanimously. What do they see equanimously? So here there are mentioned 5 things. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha. 5 things he has mentioned. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. Brahmane in a Brahmin. Brahmin here means one who has seen Brahman, one who is on the final spiritual ascent to the Brahman realization. That is called Brahman. And what kind of Brahman? Not just any Brahman. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Vidya is knowledge, education. Vinaya is modesty. So knowledge and modesty, both should be there. Sampanne. Sampanne means together. They must be integrated. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. An integrated quality of both education or learning and modesty. This should be there. This is, in fact, it's a very difficult combination. Very often we will see people who are highly educated do not have the Vinaya, or people who are very modest, they may not have enough education to talk about. So here, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. You see, in fact, Hanuman, the god Hanuman as a god should be remembered here. See, you go to any temple, see any other Hindu god, we worship these gods by putting our hands like this. But it is only Hanuman who himself gives you the pose like this. You see, that shows he is having a tremendous Vinaya towards the devotees that look at him. He is always bowing, showing his respect to the Lord God, that is Rama. Vidya Vinaya Sampanna, he has got both. That is why, you see, you may go to the Lord Hanuman and seek have any kind of prayer, but he will give you all those things that you want. Plus, without your asking, he will give you Vinaya also. Vinaya is modesty, because he has that modesty, 100%. So, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. So, that kind of Brahmin. So, that is number one. I told you there are 5 things these wise men are equanimous about. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, that is one. Gavi, cow. Represents all animals. Hastini, elephant, the biggest animal possible. Shuni, dog. Shuni. Shwapake, dog eater. Shwapake. Shwa is dog, Shwapake is dog eater. So you see, there are different kinds of men, animals, and kinds of people are mentioned here. From the Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, from that highest level, we have come down to Shopake, the dog eater, who is at the lowest level in terms of spiritual attainment. So Pandita Samadarshina, wise men are equanimous. So this is in fact a matter-of-fact definition of equanimity. And Krishna is never tired of talking about this equanimity. Go to 6th chapter, number 8. 6th chapter, in fact, has a lot to say about equanimity. 6, number 8. I am going to the 8th shloka in 6th chapter. Jnana vijnana triptatma kutastho vijitendriyagam yukta yutyuchyate yogi samaloštashma kanchanam. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastaha Vijitendriyagam. Kutastaha means the one who is immovable, unchanging, firm as a rock, firm as the anvil of a blacksmith. Vijitendriyaha, one who has controlled his senses. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. Jnana is knowledge, Vijnana is application of that knowledge. Triptatma, his self is fully content with both the wisdom, the outwardly knowledge of wisdom, and the application of that knowledge. Not only that, finally we have the equanimity description, Samaloshta Ashma Kanchanaha. So the shloka says, Yukta Yityuchyate Yogi. He is the one who is called Yogi. He is the one who is called Yuktaha. Yuktaha means one who is harmonized in yoga. One who is in unionized in yoga with the Absolute. Union with the Absolute. Yukta ityuchyate yogi samaloštashma kanchana. This is a characteristic phrase which will come very often in most of the scriptures, and Gita, I think 2 or 3 places it comes. Samaloshta ashma kanchana. Loshta is clog of wood, right? Clog of mud. Loshta. Ashma is brick, stone. Kanchana is gold. Gold, brick, and just mud. All 3 look at that equanimously. That kind of viewpoint, that kind of perception is there for such a person. When he is having that perception, he is called Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi. You see, you go back to our basic sloka, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Siddhyos Samo Bhutvam Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. In the first sloka 47, he gave you 4 commands. And in the next sloka he says how to do it. Be in yoga. And what is yoga? Samatvam. Samatvam yoga uchyate, he said. So that samatva is defined here, not only here but in so many other slokas that I am going to show to you. Samaloštashma kanchana. So he is equanimous to a clog of mud, stone or brick and gold. That is 8th sloka of chapter 6. Go to the next, same chapter 6, next sloka. And it is further definition coming. Suhran mitra yulasina madhyastatveshya bandhushu sadhushvapicha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Samabuddhir vishishyate. Equanimous buddhi, samabuddhi. In fact, our Buddhi Yoga is called Samabuddhi Yoga. Samabuddhi means equanimous intellect, equanimous perception. Vishishyate, excels, distinguishes. What is that? Suhrit. Suhrita means friend. Suhrit is well-wisher. Mitra is friend. Ari is enemy. Udasina is an indifferent person, one who doesn't care for indifferent. Madhyastha, neutral person. Dveshya, enemy. Bandhu is a relative, all of them. Suhran mitra yudasina madhyastha dveshya bandhushu sadhushvapicha papeshu. Sadhu, sages, saints. Papeshu, sinners. All of them Samabuddhi. One has Samabuddhi. One should have Samabuddhi. Suhrita, Mitra, Ari. Ari is enemy, I said. So Dveshya is those who hate you or you hate. Asina Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu. Udasina is indifference. So that is sloka number 9 of 6th chapter. In fact, 6th chapter again has more slokas of that kind. Go to sloka number 29. In chapter 6, Sarvabhutastamatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. You see, Gita, several slokas hint at equanimity or imply equanimity. But these are the shlokas which I have collected, which directly dwell on equanimity. Sarvabhutastam atmanam, sarvabhutani chatmani. Bhuta is being. Sarvabhutastam, all beings. Being, you see, atmanam, myself, self. You see, the sarvatra samadarshana, ikshate yoga yukta atma. So we are talking of a yoga yukta atma. What is a yoga yukta atma? One who is unionized in the yoga, in the samabuddhi yoga. Yoga yukta atma, one whose self is unionized in yoga. He sees, ikshate. Ikshate means sees. So what kind of thing he sees? Atmanam sarvabhutastam. He sees himself as living, as present in all the beings. Sarvabhutastam atmanam. One sees yoga yuktatma, the ideal person. Yoga yuktatma, the one who is unionized in yoga. That person sees Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. Atmanam Sarvabhutastam. He sees his own self as present, as being in all living beings. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. Not only that, Sarvabhutani Chatmani. He sees in himself, Atmani, in himself, Sarvabhutani. He sees all the other beings. Sarvabhutani. Icchate. He who sees like this, Samadarshanaha. He is Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. He sees therefore equanimity everywhere. This is the characteristic of a Yoga Yukta Atma. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. Sarvabhutani Chatmani. Ikshate Yoga Yukta Atma. Sarvatra Samadarshana. You see, I am giving you these shlokas from the later chapters because it serves two things. It gives you, first of all, the meaning of equanimity, and because it refers directly to equanimity, also it gives you indirectly as a side effect an overview of the entire Gita, and you will have a feeling that you have seen the Gita throughout, and any time you open the Gita, except for the context, you would have seen all these shlokas. Context will come whenever I come to that chapter. So that is shloka number 29 of chapter 6. And then go to chapter 12, 15. 12, 15. Yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijate chayagam, harsha bhayot vegai, mukto yasacha me priyagam. Right? Yes, Yasman Dujate Loko 12:15. Yes, Yasman. Yasman, you see, it's a very interesting sloka. The thing is, we have seen several people in the world. We are moving, we are meeting different kinds of people in our various walks of life, in our office, in our private life, in our neighborhood, or just like that. Whenever we are in association, or when we have seen great people, we have a feeling of elation. It's a feeling of glow. We come back with a great glow in our mind. We are peaceful. We are happy. There is a kind of happiness when we see a great sage, say, like Ramana Maharshi, or a great Acharya, the great Acharyas of the various Shankara Mats, and so on. So that one kind of observation. But there is also the other end. At the other end, everyone must have had this experience. We must have seen ordinary people, maybe a neighbor, maybe one in the office, maybe on the road, maybe somewhere. The very sight of him is kind of repelling, because of, I'm not talking of his appearance or anything, his character, his behavior, his talk, his attitude, like that. So we are repelled. So here it says, Yasman nodvijate loko, from whom the world does not repel, does not hate, does not recoil. Yasman not dvijate lokaha. That is, the context here is 12th chapter, where the Lord says, it's Bhakti Yoga chapter, the Lord says, these are the bhaktas, these are the devotees who are most dear to me. So here is one. Yasman nodvijate lokaha. The world does not recoil from whom? Lokan nodvijate chayaha. He also does not recoil from the world. He is not running away from the world. He is not a recluse. He is also in total communion with the world. Lokan nodvijate chayaha. Harsha marsha bhayot vegai mukta. Harsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvega. Harsha is happiness, pleasure, satisfaction. Amarsha is the opposite of it. Bhaya is fear. Udvega is agitation, excitement. All these four are different feelings, behavior. Harsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvega. Happiness and pleasure, satisfaction. Amarsha is dissatisfaction or unhappiness. Bhaya is fear. Udvega is agitation. From these things, he is muktaha, he is released. He doesn't have either this or that. He doesn't have either harsha or amarsha. He doesn't have fear, he doesn't have udvega. Harsha, marsha, bhayotvega, muktaha, such a person. So three things. Yasman nodvijate lokaha. The world does not recoil, does not get a repulsion from by looking at him, by seeing him, by his contact. Lokan not vijate. He also does not repel, from the world, does not run away from the world. Harsha, marsha, bhayot, vege, mukta. He is free. He is totally devoid of harsha. Not only happiness but unhappiness. That is the opposites of happiness and unhappiness. Pleasure and sorrow. Fear and excitement. All these things. He is free. Sachame priyaha. That. So here again you can see the equanimity definition. Again, 12:18. 12:18. You see, Krishna, as he goes on, beginning he makes a very simple definition, but as he goes on, he makes his definitions a little more and more deeper. Samashatrau cha mitre cha tamitrau cha tatha manapamanayoh shitoshna sukhadukkeshu samasanga vivarjitaham. Remember, all this equanimity business started long ago. That is in the very first chapter, very second chapter, very beginning. I think it was the shloka number 38 or so. Yes, 38. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujyasva. Sukha dukkhe same kritva. Krishna was talking about how Arjuna should not retreat from war, and he was saying various reasons, and one of those reasons was hato va prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mayim. If you are killed, you will get swarga, you will go to heaven. If you win, you will reap the whole world. So therefore get up, Arjuna, and all those things he said. And at that point he said, innocuously, as if it is an innocuous statement, a very deep statement he is saying, Sukha dukkhe same kritva, chapter 2, shloka 38. That is where this equanimity idea begins in the Gita. Sukha dukkhe same kritva, happiness and pleasure, same kritva, be equanimous. Balabha labhau jaya jayau. And then he also analyzes it. Labha, labho, labha, labha. Profit and loss. Jaya, ajaya. That is victory and defeat. You see? Tato yuddha. So that is where the equanimity idea starts. So now he is going deep into it. Chapter 12, 18. Samashatrau cha mitrecha. Shatrau cha mitrecha. In the friend, in the enemy. Samaha. Equanimous to friend and foe. Tatha manapama. I will come to manapamanayo a little later. Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu. Shita ushna. Cold and heat. Sukha and dukkha. Pleasure and sorrow. Samasanga vivarjita. Sanga vivarjita is an addition here, devoid of all attachment. This is the type of person most dear to the Lord. And then he says, Tatha manapamanayoham. Excuse me. Tatha manapamanayoham. You see, Krishna, in the beginning, he was very, he did not. This mana apamana. Mana is honor. Apamana is dishonor. Very difficult to be equanimous to honor and dishonor. See, you can, samaloshtashma kanchana, you can probably be equanimous with respect to gold and ordinary stone and so on. But mana apamana is something which affects you very much. In fact, that was Arjuna's problem. Arjuna had the mana apamana problem. But Krishna did not say it in the beginning. Only he has waited until the 12th chapter to tell him, Mahana, Apamana also, he should be equanimous. In fact, that is the problem of Arjuna. Samashatraucha mitrecha tasamana apamanayo. So slowly, you see, he deepens the idea and then drives home his important point very slowly but very effectively. Shitoshna sukha dukkeshu, cold and heat, sukha and dukkha, pleasure and sorrow, samasanga vivarjitaha, without attachment, that person is most dear to me. So that is the other definition of equanimity. All of them together, it must be, it is a kind of a complementary, it is not exclusive or anything. And then 14th chapter 24, something very interesting coming here. Samadukha sukha swastha samaloštashma kanchanaham tulya priya priyo dhiraha tulya nindatma samstutihi. Sama dukkha sukha, dukkha sukha, unhappiness and happiness, sama, equal. It has been said, he is repeating it. Sometimes you see Krishna also repeats. In fact, all our scriptures repeat many things because we have to be told things several times. Otherwise, we don't seem to get it into our head. Samadukha sukha swastha. Swastha, probably in various regional languages, means healthy, but that is not the meaning. Swastha means Swarupe Trishtati. He has realized his self. He has understood his self. One who has understood his self and standing firm as a rock in that self. Swastha. Then Samaloštashma Kanchana, which is a repetition. Samaloštashma Kanchana. I have already told you. Tulya Priya Priyo Dhiraha. Tulya Priya Priyaha. Tulya Priya Priyaha. Priya means what is favorable to you. Apriya means what is unfavorable to you. Who is favorite? Who is your favorite? Who is not your favorite? You may like some people, you may not like some people. Both of them. Tulya, equal mind. Tulya nindatma samstutihi. Tulya nindatma samstutihi. It's more difficult. You see, ninda, people might scold you or find fault with you. Ninda is a kind of a pungent criticism. Atma samstudihi, that people might praise you for even a criticism or a praise. Whether it is a ninda or a praise, for both of them, tulya equal. So there are 4 things mentioned here. Samadukha sukha, that is dukkha and sukha, happiness and unhappiness, equal. Samaloštashma kanchana, material. Loshta, ashma, kanchana, these are all materials. The materials of the world. Tulya priya priyaha, these are people. So your relations with people. And then what other people look at you. So 4 things. Is the equanimity with respect to what happens to you. That is samadukha sukha. Equanimity with respect to materials in the world, samaloštashma kanchana. Equanimity with respect to your own likings and dislikings, tulya priya priyaha. Priya, he is your friend. Apriya, you don't like him. Both of them you must have an equal treatment. So the way your behavior with respect to other people, that also should be equal. You have to be equanimous. Tulya nindatma samstutihi. Tulya, that is, other people may look at you, some people may have faulty criticism for you, other people may have praises for you. For both of them, for both, you must have be equal. So the peak of equanimity is mentioned in this, in number 24, chapter 14. And again in the next sloka, 25, Mana pamanayos tulyagam tulyo mitrari pakshayoham sarvarambha parityagi gunatitassa uchyate. The context here is gunatita. Krishna has been talking about transcending the 3 gunas. Transcending the 3 gunas. Remember, even the 2nd chapter itself he talked about it. Nisraigunya Bhavarjuna. You see, he has already Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nisraigunya Bhavarjuna. We have already seen that shloka. So he has told you there to transcend the three gunas. He has not told you how to transcend the three gunas. Arjuna is asking Krishna in the 14th chapter, what is this Gunatita? What do you mean by transcending the three gunas? So he describes that, and that is where these two shlokas come. Mana apamanayo tulyaha. So tulyaha mana apamanayo. Mana and apamana, honor and dishonor. So again, the most important thing is coming. Mitra aripakshayo. Mitra paksha, aripaksha. Mitra paksha means friend side. Aripaksha means enemy side. Whether it is enemy side or friend side, equal. Tulyaha. And then, this is the person who is called Gunatita, he says, but he adds one more. That one more is Sarvarambha Parityagi. This was be highlighted. Sarvarambha Parityagi. Very difficult statement. Only in Hindu philosophy you will find this kind of thing. Sarvarambha, Sarva Arambha Parityagi. All beginnings, all tasks, Parityagi, renounce. Renouncer of all tasks. How do you renounce all the tasks? You see, this is Sarvarambha Parityagi is a difficult statement. We are going to spend time on this Arambha Parityagi, renouncing all tasks, in the next session. That is in the 4th round of the same 5 shlokas. We are going to do that because it comes in that Jahati, that is in the 5 shlokas that we are discussing now in the 2nd chapter. Come to the 4th one. Buddhi Yukto Jahati Ube Sukrita Dushkrite. You have to, that is the Buddhi Yukta, Samabuddhi Yukta, the one who is harmonized in Samabuddhi, he renounces, he discards Ube Sukrita Dushkrite, both good and bad. How does he discard both good and bad? What is the meaning of discarding both good and bad? This is the point we are going to be talking about in our 4th round. So when we come to that, we will also touch upon the Sarvarambha Parityagi. Okay? So Sarvarambha Parityagi Gunatita Savuchyate. He is called Gunatita. Thus I have given you 8 shlokas which are some kind of definition. But there are 8 more shlokas which give you the methodology to achieve this samatvam. Samatvam yoga uchyate. What is samatvam? We just saw. How to reach this samatvam? How to reach this? So again, I am going to give you 8 shlokas from the various chapters to which prescribe the methodology. The very first is the shloka number 38 of chapter 2. Already we have seen. Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva. Therefore go to fight. You won't be a sinner. That way he says. But the first line, Sukha dukkhe same krutva, be equanimous to sukha and dukkha, pleasure and unhappiness, happiness and sorrow. Be equanimous. Labha labho jaya jayo. Labha labha, profit and loss and success and failure. So this is where we have to start. How does one achieve samatvam? Remember, this samatvam is the Brahma Bhava ultimately. Among the 5 major things that Gita teaches, among the 5 regimens that Gita gives you, this regimen, the samatva regimen, is actually the goal. That becomes Brahma Bhava. So you begin with samatvam, the ordinary secular samatvam, by looking at all of them equally, by giving all of them equal treatment, that is, be impartial. All the secular things that one can talk about equanimity, you start from there, go away and go further and further higher. Ultimately, you will come to the Brahma Bhava, because I will tell you the reason at the end. So, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Siddhi Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. It says, this Samatva you have to reach. What? How do you start with? Labha Labho Jaya Jayo. You see, every day we are having something which is good for us, maybe financially good for us or financially not good for us. You see, in fact, the share market will keep on telling you how much you have lost today, how much you have gained today. The share dealers, like money control people, they will tell you exactly when you have in today's gain, what is today's gain, what is today's loss. See, that is where you have to start practicing this samatva. That is, whether it is profit or loss, can we take it equally lightly, both of them lightly. See, the loss also should be taken lightly. The gain also should be taken. The gain should not give you a great elation and therefore you keep jumping all over the place. And the loss also should not completely downcast you. So that way, that is how the Sukha Dukkhe Samekatva has to be practiced. In fact, my next selection, 56th shloka in the second chapter, which we have not yet seen, we are going to see. It comes in under Bhagavan's statement, Dukkheshvanudvignamanaha, shloka number 56 of chapter 2. Dukkheshvanudvignamanaha, Sukheshu Vigataspragagam, Vitaragabaya Krodagam, Sthitadhir Muniruchyate. I am telling you how you can reach that samatva. Dukkhesh anudvignamanaha. So here Krishna is giving you a kind of a slow motion prescription. Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. When the dukkha comes, when the unpleasant thing comes, when the sorrowful thing happens, anudvignamanaha. Can you be anudvignamanaha? Anudvignamanaha means a mind which is not affected by the agitation created by that sorrow. Anudvignamana, Dukkheshu Anudvignamana. Of course, the great monumental example is Lord Rama, Sri Rama and Valmiki Ramayana. You see, here Bhagavan is giving these things as a description of a Sthita Prajna, a Brahmajnani, a completely enlightened person who is very sure of the realization that has to take place. So, such a Brahmajnani is describing. But actually these are our role models. That is, the action itself, that is should be our goal. In fact, Kanchi Acharya says, this should be our goal. Don't think as it is an ideal and you can never reach it. You have to reach that ideal, he says. Dukkheshu anudvignamana. And Rama, of course, is the greatest example because, as you all know, those of you who know the Ramayana story, he goes there to Kaikeyi's room, that is where his father Dasharatha had been spending throughout the previous night, and she had already demanded from him Rama's banishment, and he had nothing, he had to agree to it because of the great promise he had made once upon a time. So when Rama receives that message that he has to be banished, he has to go to the forest for 14 years, he said, okay, I will do that, certainly. And he comes along. When he comes along, they are making arrangements for his Pattabhishekam, all the Homa Dravyas and all the people, Pandits, are sitting there and doing all that Homa and everything. Of course, he looks at them, but he is not at all perturbed, not at all agitated. You see, there is not at all agitated. So, Navanam Gantukamasya Tejatascha Vasundharam Sarvalokatigasyaiva Lakshate Chitta Vikriya. This is a quote from Valmiki Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda, chapter 19, shloka number 33. Navanam Gandha, now he has decided, he has determined, he has taken the decision, yes, I will go to the forest. He is going to abdicate from the throne now for at least 14 years. So Tyajatascha Vasundharam, he leaves the Vasundhara, his capital, and goes to the forest. Sarva lokatigasyaiva lakshate chitta vikriya. His chitta vikriya in his mind. You mean chitta vikriya? Chitta is mind. Vikriya is movement. What is the movement in the chitta? As if he has reached the heavens, he has reached the seventh heaven. Sarva lokatigasyaiva. So his face looks like it. In fact, Kamba Ramayanam, Kamban, the Tamil equivalent of Valmiki, he has written the Kamba Ramayanam in the 12th century. A beautiful description. Not at this place. Sita, when living in Ashokavana in Sundarakanda, she remembers all the old memories, and when she rehashes the old memories, and here he describes Chittirathil Alarnda Shandamarai Uttirukkum Mugan. When he comes out of Kaikeyi's room, even then his face was a blooming lotus in a picture. A blooming lotus may degenerate in the evening, but if you put it in a picture, it will never degenerate. It will never go bad. So Chittirathil, in a picture, a blooming lotus, like that, his face was there, she says. So Chitta Vikriya. When I say Chitta Vikriya, I am reminded of another thing. There is always a discussion in Vedantic circles. How does a Brahmajnani behave? How does a Brahmajnani, that is Jivan Mukta. You see, Advaita, one of the great tenets of Advaita is that you will get that realization right here in this world. You don't have to go to another world to get that realization. That self-realization, once he comes, then one can live like a jnani. And how will he behave? Would his mind be ever perturbed? Would his mind have any thought? These are the questions which ordinary people, seekers, Advaita students, Advaita learners discuss it in various groups. Here, Valmiki has the answer. Chitta Vikriya, Lakshate Chitta Vikriya. Yes, the mind certainly, even of a Brahmajnani, moves. It has transformations. But you see, it will happen like this. Rama's Chitta Vikriya, at the time when Rama was coming out of the Kaikeyi's room, there was no perturbation, it was not affected. His mind was unaffected by that. So Drakshate, no Chitta Vikriya. So that shows even a Brahmajnani has movements of the Chitta. His mind is not a blank, but he has the right kind of thought processes. Anyway, we will go to the next selection, chapter 4, shloka number 22. I am giving you the various shlokas where the methodology is described. And here is a methodology which you and I have to adopt. Yadrichala Vasantushto, chapter 4, shloka number 22. Yadrichala Vasantushto, Dvandvatito Vimatsaragam, Samasiddha Vasiddhauche, Kritvapi na nibadhyate. Yadriksha labha santushta. Yadriksha means whatever that comes, that way comes its own way. Whatever comes, santushta, one is pleased with whatever comes. But this whatever comes, the word used here is yadriksha. Yadriksha labha does not mean accidentally it is coming. You may get something good, you may get something bad. You have to be satisfied with that. Yadriksha is God's will, yatai icha, I have told you earlier. So, yadricha labha santushtaha, dvandva atito vimatsaraha, rid of dualities, dvandva atitaha, vimatsaraha, no jealousy, no ego. Samasiddha vasiddhaucha. Siddha and asuddha. That is success and failure equanimous. That is described. Kritvapi nanibadhyate. Even then he is not affected, it says, but that point is a different context. We will take it up. So right here, Yadrichha Labha Santushta is the regimen for us. One has to practice this. Yadrichha Labha Santushta. Whenever anything happens, when good happens, we are prepared to accept it. When the bad thing happens, we immediately throw the whole thing. If we cannot accept it, we say, "Oh God, why have you given me this bad thing?" But even when the good comes, you must be able to say, you see, it is God given. In fact, I forgot to tell you at this point, Dukkeshvanutviknamanaha, that is that shloka number 56 of chapter 2, that is a second line. Dukkeshvanutviknamanaha sukheshu vigataspragaga. When the sukha, when the pleasure comes, when the happiness comes, vigataspragaga, the enlightened man, vigataspragaga, he has no further desires, is the ordinary literal meaning of the word vigataspragaga. But actually there is an implied meaning. Sukheshu vigataspragaga. What happens? I will give you a simple example. You are working in an office, in a concern, great concern. You have an immediate boss. This your immediate boss tells you, "My friend, you have got a promotion. The authorities have agreed to your promotion. The order is coming." Now, of course, it's a happy news. I mean, it's a good news. What do you think our hero thinks immediately? He does not think of immediately thanking the Lord who has given him this promotion, but he is thinking of the next promotion. 2 more years for the next promotion. That is what he thinks. 2 more years for the next promotion. So he knows, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to go from here to here, I have to now prepare for. You see, he has already become, say, assistant director or something. Now he has to become a director or senior director or something. So that kind of vigata spriha. Spriha means further desire. Always, any time when a happiness comes to you, always the feeling is, this happiness should stay with us, this happiness should be ever with me, that kind of thing, you see. So this further desire, vigataha, vigataspragaga, the Brahmajnani, the Sitaprajna does not have this. So this is, that is why the Acharya, Kanchi Acharya says, this is certainly a description of an ideal man, but this is where you have to practice. Every time when a happiness comes, do not have a further desire that something else must happen and so on. Vigataspragaga, check yourself. So then, yadrichha labha santushtaha. Of course, when I say yadrichha labha santushtaha, you must be content by whatever you have got. Immediately all of my politicians and social reformers would say, this is why India is not progressing, because it is always content. Contentment has been taught to it by all the scriptures. That is not so. We are now talking about a spiritual seeker. On the spiritual ladder, on the spiritual quest, you cannot have keeping on, you cannot have, you cannot keep further and further desires like this. So desires have to be supplanted. Yadrichha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsaraham samasiddha vasiddhauche kritva pinivanaibadhyate. That is sloka number 22, chapter 4. And then in chapter 6, we have a methodology very clearly, 6:30. Chapter 6, shloka number 30. 30. What is that shloka? Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. Look at the is a very interesting statement. It can come only in the Hindu philosophy. Yomam pashyati sarvatra. The Lord is speaking. Yoha mam pashyati sarvatra. He who sees me everywhere. He who sees me everywhere, capital me. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra. Sarvam cha mayi pashyati. He who sees in me, mayi, sarvam cha, everything. So he who sees in me everything, in Lord everything, he who sees the Lord everywhere, tasyaham na pranashyami. I am never lost to him, he is never lost to me. So this is the methodology. We have to be able to see everything as every time the presence of the Lord. See the structures, the field, the trees, the mountains, the rivers, people, anything. You would be able to see the Lord in everything. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamayi pashyati. So this is a clear methodology for us. Immediately you cannot go to that extreme extent of seeing the Lord everywhere, but try to see the Lord as much as possible in certain things. First of all, certain good things. First of all, see the same Lord in every aspect of the Lord. I mean, don't distinguish between the different, so-called different gods in the Hindu pantheon. It is all the same, like that. So, Yomam pashyati sarvatra. Again, another sloka in the same chapter 6, 32. Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo madaha. Atma upamyena sarvatra. The self, have the self as the analogy, have the self as the example, yourself. Treat everything as in analogy to yourself. You see what happens to you. I mean, when you think of the other person, think what will happen to you if you have to either go through the same suffering as he is having. Sukham va yadiva dukkham. Whether it is sukham or dukkha, whether it is pleasure or unhappiness, he who sees everything with his own analogy, atmaupamyena sarvatra, I like him, he says. And then the last one, adveshta sarvabhutanam. 12, chapter 12, shloka number 13. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitrah karunaye vacham nirmamo nirahankarah samadukha sukakshami sarvabhutanam adveshta. All beings, no hate. Adveshta, no hate. Remember, this no hate business is very fundamental. Hindu scriptures are never tired of telling you this. In fact, in the ordinary Shanti mantra, Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. You see, tejasvinavadhitamastu. Up to that, he is talking about let us read together, let us enjoy together, let us eat together, like that. So it is a kind of a togetherness that is being talked about. Ma vidvishavahai is a kind of a different thought. It has been deliberately added there because this hating business, this is the fundamental weakness in all human beings. Ma vidvishavahai, it says there. Therefore, adveshta sarvabhutanam, 13th shloka in chapter 12, it says adve maitra karunaye vacha. So here he gives you all the qualities of a good behavior which will please the Lord and which will take you on the road to high road to spirituality and also on the high road to samatvam. Two more shlokas from the 13th chapter at a higher level. You see, Krishna slowly raises his profundity. That is, he is talking in a simple way in the earlier chapters, but as he goes through the various higher chapter, it is now deeper. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu, number 27, chapter 13. Number 27, chapter 13 and 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. The Lord is there equally in every being. Sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam. We will see these slokas more elaborately when we come to the particular chapter. But here we will get only the gist of it. Vinashyatsva vinashyantam, to be highlighted. vinashyatsu avinashyantam. Those which perish, vinashyatsu avinashyantam. Those which perish, among them you see that they do not perish. They don't perish. They are imperishable. There is something imperishable in all the perishable things. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam. Yah pashyati. He is equal. He is equally there in all things, in all the perishable things, as the only imperishable, undestroyable thing. He who sees it, he is the one who is the right seer. Again, next sloka, number 23, number 28. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati parangatim. So it gives you a methodology. That is, this is how you have to see equality everywhere. He is there equally in all things. You see, such a person, na hinasti atmanatmanam, one does not injure oneself by this ignorance, therefore he goes to the highest destination. So those are the 8 slokas that prescribe the methodology. In fact, the Lord gives his own example. In chapter 9 and 29, he says, chapter 9, 29, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosde na priya. I have nobody who is who is my favorite. I have nobody who is not my favorite, enemy. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. I am the same for all beings. Because the fundamental reason is, chapter 4, sloka number 24, is a 5-star sloka, which has to be embedded in gold. Brahmarpanam brahmahavi brahmakno brahmana hutam. Everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Even when you do the offering in the fire, the one who does the offering is Brahman. The offering itself is Brahman. The fire in which you are offering, that is Brahman. That is everything. Sarvam kalvidam Brahma. This is the fundamental thing. This is the Upanishadic treatment. And that is why we have to be equanimous to everything. And of course, finally, we have 5 slokas or 4 slokas, 5 slokas which give you the final goal. I told you Samatvam is Brahma Bhava. You start with Samatvam. Go on practicing it. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Yoga itself is Samatvam. And the Samatva various equality I have told you here. They are all sprinkled in the various chapters in the Gita. So what is the goal? Goal is Brahma Bhava. And this itself is described. Yesha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati. This is called Brahmi Sthiti. He says that at the end of the 2nd chapter. Even if you reach that in the last moment of your life, it's great. In 5th chapter, Ihaivatayirjita Sargo Yesham Samye Sthitam Manaha Ihaiva Taijjita Sargo. Such people, Ihaiva, here itself, in this world itself, they have conquered, they have come out of this creation. Ihaiva Taijjita Sargo. And what are the qualities of such a person? Naprahrishyet priyam prapya. So one who has reached that stage of the final Brahma Bhava, that is described here. Naprahrishyet priyam prapya nodvijet prapya cha priyam sirabuddhirazam mudo brahmavid brahmani sthitaha. A very important sloka, sloka number 20, chapter 5. Na praharshyet. So here it is down to earth. Na praharshyet priyam prapya. Priya, favorable thing happens. He is not excited. He is not jumping. Na praharshyet. Nodvijet prapya cha priyam. He gets certain which is unpleasant. Nodvijet. He is not downcast. Sthira buddhi, he has that kind of confirmed wisdom. Asammuda, he is never confused. Brahma with Brahmani sthitaha. He is the realizer of Brahman, knower of Brahman, Brahma with Brahmani sthitaha. Knower of Brahman is in Brahman. Knower of Brahman cannot just know Brahman and just keep talking about it. That is no good. He is in Brahman. Brahmavid. If you say that I know Brahman, you must be in Brahman. So nobody would say it like that. When we can recognize the Brahmavid as Brahmani Sthitaha, Yashuka Brahmam, Ramana Maharshi. These people are the standard examples. You see, this one does not come just like that. Bahunam Janmanamante, chapter 7, sloka 19. Bahunam Janmanamante, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlabha. He is raised to the skies. Mahatma Durlabha. He is very rare. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Everything is Vasudeva. Everything is Vasudeva. Everything is the Lord. And therefore in the 18th chapter he says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakanshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labate Param. Such a person, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, he does not sorrow, Nashochati Nakanshati, he does not desire, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu, all beings he is equal. And then comes the punchline. Mat bhaktim labhate, obtains my supreme bhakti of me, mat bhaktim. So at that highest point, you see, the jnana, the wisdom, knowledge, the peak of knowledge is, and the peak of bhakti, they are the same. That shows you there, that tells you there. Well, so I have given you various shlokas where Samabuddhi is elaborated, Samatvam is elaborated, and he gives one shloka, a master shloka, in number 20, chapter 18, at the end, a master shloka, which is a summary of the entire thing. Sarva Bhuteshu Ye Naikam, shloka number 20, chapter 18. Sarva Bhuteshu Ye Naikam Bhajnanam Vidhi Satvikam. What is the Satvika knowledge? He discusses Satvika knowledge, Rajasa knowledge, Tamasa knowledge. What is Satvika knowledge? Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam Bhavam Avyayam Ikshate. All beings, all things, whoever sees the same Bhaktam Vibhakteshu, whatever appears as multiplicity. You see, we see everything as something different things. No. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu, they are not. There is no multiplicity. There is only unity. Avibhaktam. There is nothing that is separate. It is all one. There is only one. And that is the Advaita realization. And that is called the Samabuddhi. That is what we have been discussing all along. So then, when we come back to our chapter 2, those 5 slokas. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam jaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyos samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So yoga is samatvam, right? And that samatvam is the one which you should practice. And then he says in number 50, in our 5 slokas, Buddhi yukto jagatiha ube sukruta dushkrute. Such a person who has the samabuddhi, he discards both the good and the bad. This is what we will take up in the next session, because it is sukruta dushkrita, how one discards both, and what is the meaning of jahati, then what else do we do. So here the question of actionlessness is going to come. We are going to take it up in the next session. I have given you a number of references today. Again, as before, I have put them all in my website. Go to the same reference as I gave you last time. If you go to that reference, then you will have at the bottom of that page, you will have a link to go to Regimen 7. That was Regimen 6 last time, so it is Gita Regimen 7. With that, we will... the same reference you can go, and you can from there you have the link to Gita Regimen 7. With that we will close today. Swasya prajabhya paripalayantam jayena margena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम तत्सत्।